All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. And it is that time of the week, folks, my key games for this upcoming weekend in the world of college football. Want to get things kick-started tomorrow night in the Big Ten as you have Minnesota traveling to take on eighth ranked Oregon. And of course, these rankings that I'm talking about right now are relevant to the college football playoff rankings. Now, Oregon, they're a part of that one loss trio within the Big Ten Conference, while Minnesota has two conference losses, and they're trying to spoil and derail Oregon's chances of making the college football playoffs. It's not going to be easy for the Gophers. They head west as a 25.5 point underdog. I think for Minnesota to go out there and pull off this upset tomorrow night, they're going to need big games from the likes of wide receiver Lemeke Brockington on offense, and then this defense, which includes linebacker Devin Williams, as well as Anthony Smith on that D line. I look at this Oregon team. I look at their run game with Noah Whittington and Jordan Davison in that backfield. I like the way the quarterback Dante Moore is playing, and then I like wide receiver DeCorian Moore. And then the Ducks under head coach Dan Lanning can mix it up with you defensively. We just saw them go to Iowa City last Saturday and win a tough one. I like Bryce Betcher at linebacker as well as outside linebacker Mateo Uyunglele. Like I said, the Ducks are favored big in this one, and I think Oregon takes care of their business at home tomorrow night, 38-20. Now, moving on to Saturday, we've got ninth ranked Notre Dame traveling to take on 22nd ranked Pitt. Both of these teams are 7-2. Both of these teams are looking to crash the playoff party. And of course, the committee likes Notre Dame. Even though that the Fighting Irish lost their first two games of the season, they never dropped out of the top 25 of the AP poll. Now they're ninth in the college football playoff poll. And of course, the Irish have won their last seven. I've said it before and I'll say it again. We can no longer call quarterback CJ Carr a freshman. I think he's graduated from that. The experience is there, the seasoning is there, and he is the leader of this Notre Dame offense. I love the balance that Notre Dame has. And of course, they're going to run the football first and foremost with the likes of Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. I like Jordan Faison as well as Malachi Fields at wide receiver. And then this Irish defense is getting better. Veteran linebacker Drake Bowen, you've got Boubacar Traore on that D line, and you have a Notre Dame defense that has 16 interceptions so far. For Pitt, they're 7-2, but no matter what, they still got a chance to win the ACC. Why? Because this is a non-conference game for them. Mason Henschel at quarterback for the Panthers, wide receiver Kenny Johnson. They're going to have big games for Pitt. 58 degrees with some rain is in the forecast for this one. Notre Dame is favored by 12.5 points. I like the Irish by 10, 34-24. Now, we've got 18th ranked Michigan traveling to Evanston to take on the Northwestern Wildcats. And of course, should Michigan be on upset alert in this one? I think they should, because Northwestern, it could be a classic trap game if Michigan doesn't come there to take care of their business. I think for the Wolverines, they've got to do what they always try to do, and that's dominate within the trenches. Get their running game going with Jordan Marshall, Justice Haynes, and of course, quarterback Bryce Underwood. And then defensively, under D coordinator Wink Martindale, I love the physicality that Michigan can play with, especially with the likes of linebacker Ernest Hausman. For Northwestern to pull off this upset and end their two-game losing streak, they're going to need big games from the likes of running back Caleb Komalafe as well as running back Griffin Wild. But when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be a workmanlike approach for Michigan on Saturday. I like the Wolverines to win this one 31-17. Now, there's some big games coming up in the American Conference, and this is a big one right here. We're talking about five teams right now that have one loss in the American Conference. And we've got 24th ranked South Florida traveling to Annapolis to take on Navy. Like I said, it is separation time in this league. And if you're South Florida, the ball is in your court. Last week, the ball was in the court of Memphis, and they fell at home to Tulane. And the reason why I say the ball is in their court, last week in the initial CFP rankings, it was Memphis who had been given the nod by the committee to represent the group of five. And following Memphis's loss to Tulane, that honor now falls into the lap of South Florida if they're able to handle their business the rest of the way. Quarterback Byron Brown for the Bulls, arguably the best dual threat in the American. I like wide receiver Keyshawn Singleton for South Florida, and as well as linebacker Mac Harris. Now, after Navy won their first 7 games of the season, the schedule has gotten a lot harder for them. We've seen them lose their last two, and it's going to be very tough for the midshipmen in this one. They're a 9.5 point underdog at home. I think Navy, first and foremost, has to get their triple option with Blake Horvath going, trying to keep this South Florida defense off balance, which is going to be easier said than done. But when it's all said and done, I like South Florida on the road in this one by the score of 34-24. Now heading to the Southeastern Conference, we have 11th ranked Oklahoma traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on fourth-ranked Alabama. The Crimson Tide come into this one favored by 5.5 points at home. Last year, we saw Oklahoma rather, excuse me, derail Alabama's chances late in the season when the Crimson Tide went to Norman and they got dominated and lost by 3 touchdowns. For Oklahoma to pull off the upset again, I think their defense is going to have to once again be at the top of their game. Going to be interesting to see if R. Mason Thomas can go. Remember, he got injured in the win over Tennessee. Quarterback John Mateer for the Sooners. He's been up and down throughout this season. And this is not the team that you want to be up and down against, because after losing their season opener to Florida State, Alabama has gotten better and better each and every week in all phases of the game. Offensively, Ty Simpson and company are clicking right now, and the Sooners are really going to have their hands full Saturday in this one. I like Alabama by 2 touchdowns, 34-20. Now, in the ACC, we've got 19th ranked Virginia traveling to take on Duke. Two of the 5 teams within the Atlantic Coast Conference who currently have one conference loss are in this game. Of course, Virginia suffered their first conference loss of the season last week at home against Wake Forest, and a lot of that had to do with Chandler Morris, their starting quarterback, going out with the injury. So is he going to be available for this one? That's going to be the big one for Tony Elliott and the Cavaliers. A lot of talent for Virginia, a lot of talent for Duke with the likes of quarterback Darian Mensah, running back Nate Shepard, and wide receiver Cooper Barricade. I'll tell you like this. If Chandler Morris is healthy and good to go, I like Virginia. On the flip side, I'm going to roll with Duke if he's not available. I'm just going to leave it like that. A battle of two ranked teams in the CFP in the Big Ten. We've got 21st ranked Iowa traveling to Los Angeles to take on 17th ranked USC. And for the men of Troy, they're looking to seal the deal. They're 7-2. They know if they win out, they have a darn good chance to get to the college football playoff, and they are still right there in that mix to possibly get to the Big Ten championship game. Like the way that Jaden Mayava has played a quarterback all season long for the Trojans. I love their run game, and that's going to be important because rain is on the forecast for this contest here. And when it's raining, you got to run that ball. I like King Miller and Wayman Jordan coming out of that backfield for SC, as well as wide receiver Makai Lemon. This USC defense under defensive coordinator Dan Lynn can get after teams, especially with linebacker Eric Gentry. And then what can you say about Bishop Fitzgerald at safety? He is going to be an all Big Ten selection when this season ends. So you look at Iowa, and they're heading west, and their defense is going to have to dictate things to them, as always, with the likes of Max Llewellyn on that D-line. But when it's all said and done, I like USC to double up the Hawkeyes in this one, 34-17. Now, heading back to the American, we've got Memphis traveling to take on East Carolina. And in spite of the fact that Memphis lost last weekend at home to Tulane, they still have an opportunity to be in the mix in order to win the American and possibly get to the college football playoff. But East Carolina comes into this one favored by 3.5 points at home. The Pirates have won their last three. Caton Hauser has been solid at quarterback for them, as has running back London Montgomery and wide receiver Anthony Smith, to give them one of the more prolific offenses in the American Conference. What can you say about quarterback Brendan Lewis for the Tigers? As he goes, so do the fortunes of this Memphis team. Can Sutton Smith at running back get it going? That's going to be another big question for Memphis on the road on this one. Linebacker Sam Brunfield, what is he going to do? Like I said, East Carolina is the favorite, but I am going with Memphis on the road in this one, 34-27. Now, the real big one in the SEC is we've got 10th ranked Texas traveling to Athens to take on 5th ranked Georgia. The Bulldogs at home are favored by 6.5 points, and they are looking to once again get the best of Texas. Remember, last year, Georgia knocked off Texas twice, once in the regular season in Austin, and then for the SEC championship. For Texas to go on the road, this is a big game, and Arch Manning is going to have to have a big game if the Horns are going to go out there and get the dub. I like these defenses. I like Anthony Hill at linebacker for Texas. I also like Colin Simmons off of that edge. This Texas defense, can they slow down the Georgia ground game? You know, under head coach Kirby Smart, you're going to get a heavy dose of that run game for the Bulldogs with the likes of Nate Frazier and Chauncey Bowens toting that rock to try to take some pressure off of quarterback Gunnar Stockton. But again, I'm talking about the defenses, and you cannot talk about this game and not talk about that Georgia defense. I like inside linebacker C.J. Allen. I think this Bulldogs defense imposes their will on this Texas offense as this game goes along. I think that's the difference, and I'm going to take Georgia by a touchdown in this one, 27-20. Now, in Conference USA, we've got Kennesaw State traveling to take on Jacksonville State, the last two undefeated teams within Conference USA. So, of course, first place is on the line in that league. Kennesaw State, in spite of the fact that they are the road team, they come in favored by 3.5 points. They have won their last 7 games, and for them to go on the road and get the win this Saturday, I think wide receiver Gabriel Benyard as well as linebacker Baron Hobson are going to have big games in this one. On the flip side for Jacksonville State, they have won their last 4. They've got running back Bam Cook, and of course, I call him Little Papa Pump, and I'm talking about wide receiver Brock Ricksteiner. But when it's all said and done, I think Jacksonville State takes care of their business at home and gets the 30-27 win. And finally, in the Mountain West on Saturday night, we've got Boise State traveling to take on San Diego State. First place in the Mountain West is on the line. Both of these teams have one loss within the league. Surprisingly, San Diego State got destroyed last Saturday on the road, courtesy of Hawaii. And I think for the Aztecs to get back on track, it's going to start with their D. I mean, we're talking about one of the top Ds in the country. And I think the Aztecs have to get back to being physical and, more importantly, playing bully ball on that side of the football. For Boise State, of course, life goes on for them without quarterback Maddox Matson. He was injured in the loss to Fresno State. Of course, the Broncos did not play last week, so let's see what Spencer Danielson and company can have up their sleeves as they travel to San Diego State for this one. Running back Dylan Riley, what's he going to do against the San Diego State defense, especially due to the fact that I expect the Aztecs to try to take that run game away from the Broncos and make them beat them with the pass game. Again, I talked about San Diego State's defense. Also, keep an eye out for the likes of running back Lucky Sutton in this one, as well as wide receiver Jordan Napier. This is a game that's going to be very physical. Field position and touchdowns are going to, or scoring touchdowns when you get the ball, are going to be important. But I like this San Diego State defense, and because of that, I am going to give them the 23-16 victory. So, folks, those are my key games for this weekend in the world of college football. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank each and every one of you for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. And as always, if you like what you heard and saw in this podcast, you know what to do. Just hit that like button as well as subscribing to this channel. And like I always say, it's greatly appreciated. Also, if you are on the X, formerly known as Twitter, you can check me out anytime at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you give me that follow, it will be my pleasure to do the same in return. And that also goes for Instagram, where you can check me out at 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge. Also, if you are on Facebook, definitely be sure to check out the Sports Depot 365. And as far as I'm concerned, one of the better sports groups going on social media. But until next time, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off, and I'm saying thanks once again for checking out the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. Be well, everybody.